Pets are a huge part of Grow a Garden too, just like in the first game, but the way you actually get them is way more straightforward this time around. Instead of eggs or complicated systems, pets now spawn randomly right on the map and just wander around for a limited time. If you spot one, you can literally walk up and buy it using shekels before it disappears. It sounds simple, but trust me, the competition for the good ones gets intense really fast. And that's exactly why we're doing this tier list, because not all pets are equal. Some will just boost your movement or farming speed, while others can straight up defend your garden or give you insane value over time. So in this video, we're breaking down which pets are actually worth your shekels, which ones are overrated, and which ones you should drop everything for the moment they spawn. I'm quickly moving on to the video, and I'm ranking pets in Grow a Garden 2. Before we start, if you enjoy these types of list videos, don't forget to like the video and subscribe. Enjoy watching. The pets in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, owl and monkey. Somewhere in the middle of your journey through Grow a Garden 2, you start running into pets that feel like they are trying to help, but only technically. C tier is exactly where things get interesting, because it is not completely useless, but it is also not something you are excited to spend your shekels on. The owl is a perfect example of that, almost helpful but not really energy. It extends your view distance by 12.5% at night and lets out a loud hoot when a rare pet spawns. Sounds useful on paper, right? In reality, that extra vision barely changes anything, and the rare pet it is warning you about is already easy enough to notice. For something that costs 25,000 shekels, it ends up feeling more like background noise than a real advantage. Then there is the monkey, and this one tries to act like your little garden assistant. It swings around your garden and occasionally picks ripe fruit, bringing it straight to you. The idea is actually nice, especially if you are worried about fruit going bad, but the moment you realize it costs 1 million shekels, it starts to feel a bit questionable. If you are actively playing the game, you are already collecting your fruit anyway, so the monkey kind of shows up late to its own job. When you look at both of them side by side, you start to see the pattern. The owl is barely noticeable, and the monkey only really matters if you are not paying attention to your own garden. That is what makes C tier so funny in a way, because these pets are not broken or terrible, they are just stuck in that awkward middle ground where you keep asking yourself if they are worth it at all. The pets in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, frog and golden dragonfly. Now things start to feel a bit more serious, because B tier in Grow a Garden 2 is where pets actually begin to influence how you play, even if they are not completely game breaking yet. The frog is probably the most straightforward upgrade you can get without thinking too hard about it. It hops around your garden and increases your jump height by 5. That might sound simple, but it actually changes how smoothly you move between plants and higher fruit spots. It also gets surprisingly funny when you realize how useful that extra jump is for slipping into other players' gardens and grabbing things you probably should not be touching. For just 10,000 shekels and a pretty common spawn, it feels like one of those why wouldn't you take it kind of pets. Then you have the golden dragonfly, which is a completely different level of ambition. This one flies around your garden and doubles the chance for your plants and fruits to turn gold. And unlike most pets, this effect is actually unique, since it is the only one that can apply the gold mutation at all. Seeing your garden slowly fill with golden versions of crops definitely feels rewarding, even if the boost is just a multiplier effect. That said, it is not perfect. At 9 million shekels, it definitely makes your wallet feel the pressure, especially when you remember that the gold mutation only gives a 10 times value increase. Still, the steady flow of golden crops keeps it relevant, and over time it pays off in a way that feels more consistent than explosive. So B tier ends up being that sweet spot where pets stop being gimmicks and start becoming actual tools. The frog improves movement in a way you immediately feel, and the golden dragonfly quietly boosts your economy in the background. Not overpowered, not useless, just solid enough that you never regret having them around. The pets in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, deer, bee, raccoon, coon, and bunny. At this point in Grow a Garden 2, a tier is where things finally start to feel like your garden is actually working with you instead of just existing next to you. The deer is a quiet powerhouse in that category. It trots around your garden and increases plant growth speed by 10%, which doesn't sound dramatic until you realize it affects everything in stacks. One deer already feels nice, but once you have 2 of them, your garden starts behaving like it is on fast forward. For just 50,000 shekels and a fairly common spawn, it becomes one of those early investments that you keep benefiting from long after you forget how cheap it was. Then you have the bee, which basically turns your garden into a guarded fortress. It patrols your area and swarms anyone trying to steal your fruit, making life miserable for intruders. It is also one of the cheapest defensive pets you can get, which makes it feel almost unfair for its price. Until you reach higher tier defenders like a black dragon or an ice serpent, the bee does a surprisingly good job of making sure your hard work does not disappear in seconds. Now the raccoon is where things get a little more chaotic. This one sneaks out at night, steals fruit from empty gardens, and increases your steal limit by 25. It is basically your personal criminal assistant. The funny part is that you do not even need to leave your garden to benefit from it, since it handles the stealing for you. At 15 million shekels, it is expensive, but the value it brings to aggressive playstyles is hard to ignore. And then there is the bunny, which looks harmless, but ends up being one of the most practical pets in the entire tier. It boosts your walk speed by 5, and that simple stat becomes incredibly useful during events like Midas weather or rainbow weather, where movement matters more than you expect. It also makes chasing intruders or escaping after a theft noticeably easier, which turns out to be more important than it sounds in practice. That constant speed boost just improves everything slightly without ever feeling flashy. What makes a tier interesting is that every pet here solves a real problem instead of just adding flavor. Deer speeds up progress, bee protects your progress, raccoon expands your stealing potential, and bunny makes everything smoother in motion. Together, they represent the point where pets stop being optional extras and start becoming core parts of how you actually play the game. The pets in this tier are, in order from top left to bottom right, black dragon, ice serpent, unicorn, and robin. At the top of the food chain in Grow a Garden 2, S tier is where pets stop being helpful and start feeling like they are actively rewriting how the game works. The black dragon is the kind of pet that instantly changes how safe your garden feels. It flies around and breathes fire on intruders, setting them ablaze before they even get a chance to think about your fruit. What makes it even more interesting is how quickly it responds in combat, since it is fast enough in the air to catch almost anyone trying to escape. And for something labeled super, it is surprisingly the cheapest option in that category, which makes it feel a bit too efficient for what it does. Then there is the ice serpent, which takes the same idea and turns it into pure control instead of damage. It freezes intruders solid, locking them in place so you can deal with them however you want. It is one of those pets that makes you feel completely untouchable when it is active. The downside though is the price. At 20 million shekels, it is the most expensive pet in the game, especially when you realize the black dragon already covers a similar defensive role for much less. The unicorn shifts things away from defense and straight into pure money-making power. It doubles the chance for plants and fruits to turn rainbow, which is already the rarest and most valuable mutation. With a 30 times multiplier, every successful rainbow crop feels like hitting a jackpot. And since it boosts the chance across your entire garden, it has the potential to snowball your wealth faster than almost anything else. Then you have the robin, which might look harmless at first, but ends up being one of the most economically broken pets in the tier. It flies around eating ripe fruit and occasionally drops seeds, which means you are literally getting free duplicates of your own plants. That alone would be strong, but when you realize it can generate seeds from any fruit it eats, the value becomes ridiculous. The real power starts showing when you stack a couple of robins together. Suddenly your garden is not just producing crops, it is producing more ways to grow those crops without any extra cost. It turns farming into a loop that feeds itself. What makes S tier special is that every pet here breaks a different rule. Black dragon breaks safety, ice serpent breaks control, unicorn breaks economy scaling, and robin breaks resource generation entirely. And once you reach that level, it stops feeling like you are just playing the game normally and starts feeling like you are bending it to your will. The video ends here. See you in another video. Don't forget to subscribe.